Good evening and welcome to the regular Rosemount City Council meeting. Today is Monday, August 2nd, 2021. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First of all, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No, sir.
So if there are no changes, anyone wish to move a motion?
So move the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted. We'll now move on to, we do not have any presentations tonight, so we'll move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so at this time. And do we have anyone online? We do not. So since we have no one addressing council, we'll move on to the consent agenda. First of all, are there any items council members would like to pull?
6G and 6J for information.
Any other items? And seeing none, would anyone?
Yeah, I'll move the motion to move the consent agenda items A through J with 6A through J with 6G and 6J removed for further discussion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Weisensel, second Councilmember Block. Any discussion? And seeing none, please take the roll.
Weisensel.
Aye.
Block.
Aye.
Drosty.
Aye.
Fresky. Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, and we'll now move to 6G, which is Purchasing Policy Update. I'll turn this over to Councilmember Weisensel.
Yeah, I just pulled this for information. I know the basis of the recommended action is to move up the upper limit of our amounts for purchasing policy from 100,000 up to 175, which would allow either sealed bids or direct negotiation for contracts. And I just bring this up because I know previously some of our council members were questioning negotiated amounts that were in like the $50,000 range too. So I just wanted to, I guess, highlight that knowing that it is going up to 175 as a state requirement, but as a city we could have less. And maybe have our finance director explain why this is good for us, or why we should see the higher amount versus leaving it at 100.
So the change for this was made just to bring it in line with statute, because statute lists it as the 25 to 175. They're taking sealed bids or direct negotiation, but you still have to get 2 or more quotes on that. Going out for the sealed bids for public notice, then you have to be the 175 limit. So that's just in line with state statute. That was increased from 100 to 175, I think 2 years ago. Do you know for sure? So that's just bringing it in line with statute.
But yeah, I think we as a staff would still expect
Yes.
the standard practice of we would get bids on everything. And just like I think with item J that you had pulled, Councilmember Wise, and so, bids were received on that. And that was a, $200 and some $1,000 project. But even as we do street improvement or engineering services, we get bids from an engineering pool. It just doesn't require us to do all the legal notices that the 175 and above requires.
So, and I know this is a follow-up, and maybe it's more of a discussion with 6J, but regarding the engineering pool, having served on that subcommittee that kind of selected pool vendors, it was always our understanding from the council, I understood that, even more likely you would see less negotiated specific to partners, and being able to at least recognize that the cost between a couple of parties, it was that engineering pools to kind of narrow it down and just have a few service vendors. And if that's still what's going on, that's fine. And I think that triggered why I called up 6J also tonight. So,
Yeah.
unless there's some other comments from other,
No.
all right. I'll go ahead and move the recommended actions. First is a motion to approve the amended purchasing policy, and the second portion to approve the resolution authorizing payment of certain claims by the Finance Department without prior council approval.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor, Councilmember Weisenthal, second Councilmember Block. Any discussion? And seeing none, please take the roll.
Block.
Aye.
Drosty.
Aye.
Fresky.
Aye.
Weisenthal.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, and that concludes item 6G. We'll now move on to 6J, which is approved proposal for engineering services relating to the 2022 street improvement project. And with that, I'll turn over Councilmember Weisenthal.
This one I called up, even though I recognize that the proposal amount was well over the 100,000. This was just looking for a little more detail, I guess, as to the results of, who did we go out to, and, are we seeing some good numbers coming back from some vendors that we put in that engineering pool, or some of them, maybe we're not getting the numbers that we were hoping to see. And the other aspect I was wondering is where we are in our year. I think it was about a 5-year span that we were hoping to keep this engineering pool alive, but are we coming up on re-looking at the engineering pool too?
Your second question is a loaded question, because those pool proposals, those have expired.
Okay,
Still using primarily the same firms that are on there. So just to answer your first question, we went out, we requested proposals from Bolton and Mink, SRF, TKDA, and WSB. We also added Kimley Horn for the sole fact that they've done a couple of projects with the county in the city. So there's been some coordination that we've had with those projects as well. So, and we got proposals back from all of them that, the average of those 5 proposals was about $250,000. There was a couple there was one that was significantly higher, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Certainly, if somebody asks specifically, I will certainly give those numbers. But yeah, WSB was the low. There was pretty close between them and the second low. So. I will say that the proposal that was the highest, I mentioned a moment ago, had a significantly higher number of engineering hours that I don't think, it almost looks like there might have been an error, but I do know that there was a lot of hours in there. So, and like I said, WSB was the low after reviewing all those proposals. They were all good, fully acknowledge what we had in the RFP. And so.
okay, thank you. And off council, I'd like to see the numbers when you get a chance. Thank you.
One question related back to that. Does it make a difference in the estimates that they give us, how familiar they are with our area? WSB works with us a lot, so does that give them an advantage, maybe lesser hours, or no?
Not necessarily. If you look back over the last couple of years, we've had Bolton and Mink did this year's project. The year before, well, I should say the 2 years before, 2019, and with their 2 pieces, that was done with TKDA, and then WSB has done, as a number of projects, and then we continue to reach out to SRF. Just at this point, it was a very close contest between 3 firms for the low. So,
Would you mind just going over the main projects in case anyone's watching?
certainly.
Work we'll be doing in 2022.
So we have the planned work, and really this is the biggest portion of the project. I mentioned in the council report that we may have to pare down or do bid alternates for some of the additional work. But it's primarily paving and extending utilities along Bacardi further to the north. And then it would go, we'd bring utilities into 128th Street. And then it would be 130th Way and Bengal Avenue. That would also see utilities and street work extended in there. So it's a rural neighborhood, currently rural services. They were added to the MUSA with the most recent comp plan amendment. So trying to get services into those particular residents. The biggest problem is because those lots are small, they have no additional room for septic service, and there are a couple of septic systems out there that are failing. So we just want to
And
get
Bacardi Way, some of the flooding and ponds we have to pump periodically. This would
So,
solve
yep, and
that
we did,
issue.
we're looking at that. I won't say it will completely resolve it, but we are looking at some stormwater, what stormwater connections would be appropriate as part of our comp surface water management plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
If not, go ahead.
I'll move two motions together. The first, to approve proposal for engineering services for the 2022 Street Improvement Project, City Project 2022-01, and to adopt a resolution authorizing the preparation of a feasibility report for the 2022 Street Improvement Project, City Project 2022-01.
We have a motion on the floor, Councilmember Weisenthal, second, Councilmember Block. Any discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Droste,
Aye.
Fresky,
Aye.
Weisenthal,
Aye.
Block,
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, and that concludes item 6J and all items under the consent agenda. Thank you, sir. We do not have any public hearings or unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business, which is to approve the issuance of a gross revenue refunding bond by MBTA Bond Board. And with that, I'll turn this over to Mr. Martin. Generally, I do finance first, or?
Sure,
Tia.
Tia can take it right off the bat. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority initially issued bonds in 2013 for the expansion of the Egan Bus Garage. They're proposing the refinancing of the bonds, and we'll see a significant savings as shown. Some of those including the debt service reserve fund, reduction of $349,000. They're able to have the bond callable on the payment dates without penalty, and then the interest rate reduction down to 1.52%. So with that, they do, to be able to refund those, they require each of the 8 members to approve the refunding of the bond. The MVTA bond and board and bond board approved the refunding on July 28th. They do require the approval by all of the members by August 19th is when they're planning on closing for that. With that, the bank qualification, so part of that was the bonds can be considered bank qualified if the issuer does 10 million or less in bonds each year. So they would be able to, if all the 8 member cities are doing 10 million or less, they'd be able to be considered bank qualified. And unfortunately, they couldn't because not all 8 members are considered bank qualified this year. Each of the member cities is asked to allocate 1/8 of the principal amount, with $302,500 of the total bonds issued for the year. So this doesn't affect Rosemount for the bank qualification status for a couple reasons. If we're already exceeding the 10 million, you won't get bank qualification status. You have to be below that 10 million. And then we have capacity. If we did bond, you take that 10 million minus the 302,500. And then anything there, we'd still have capacity and still be able to be bank qualified. And we didn't know about it before. That's another piece in there. If we didn't know and we didn't anticipate them bonding, we'd still be bank qualified. It's kind of a goofy little thing in there. So they just need approval. All of the other cities have it on the agendas, I think, this week and next week to get that approved. So with that, any questions you have this evening?
Thank you. Any questions from council members? And not seeing any. Anyone wish to move a motion?
I'll move them.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll move a motion to approve resolution approving issuance of gross revenue refunding bonds by the MVTA Bond Board to refinance the expansion of the Egan Bus Garage.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor, Councilmember Frisky, second Councilmember Block. Any discussion? And seeing none, please take the roll.
Weisenthal,
Aye.
Block,
Aye.
Trusty.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you to you. And that concludes the one item under new business. So we'll now move on to announcements. I'll turn this over to our City Administrator, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I know that you've got an important announcement or discussion tonight on city watering needs, and so I might just turn it right back to you. I don't have a ton of other items to address, so I think I can yield my time right back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. The one thing I wanted to mention before I go to the calendar is we need every resident to help us administer the amount of water we're utilizing as a city during this extremely dry period. And I'll just frame it. Generally, during the winter, we pump 1.5 to 2 million gallons a day. And during the last month and this month, we're between 8 and 9 million gallons. So the usage of over 6 million plus gallons of water for primarily watering yards. You can go online. The University of Minnesota has a lot of data on lawn care and management. Lawns can go on dormant stage, and they'll recover when we get into rainy periods, but it's a good idea always to check before you change. But the amount of water used or even reducing water usage. Now, we as the city have not changed policy. Some cities have across the metro, and if it continues, we'll probably be forced to in the near future. But the request is maybe you're just watering the front yard instead of the backyard during this period. It's one item. Reducing the watering. One city within a metro went to 2 times a week or 4 times in a 14-day period. That's cutting a third out of the even odd days as a possibility. But whatever you can do, it's high usage. So why is that important to the city? The primary reason is firefighting. We have so much infrastructure based on we can drill so much water based on our wells and our population. But when the water consumption goes beyond a safe amount that we can keep in storage in our tanks, our water pressure drops, and the risk of fire and not having pressure for emergency uses can be detrimental. The second thing, just the large amount of water, we pull it out of aquifers, as most cities are in Dakota County, and it is a limited resource, and if the drawdown's more than what the aquifer can restore, then it becomes an issue for surrounding communities. And all I'll say is the article is Star Tribune over the weekend. White Bear Lake is again dropping significantly, and it's a usage issue during summer months. So thank you, whatever you can do. Upcoming on the calendar, tomorrow night's Night to Unite will be out and about, both council, public works, city staff visiting neighborhood parties. On Tuesday, August 10th, the Planning Commission has their regular meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m. On Wednesday, August 11th, the Technology Task Force meets at 6:30 p.m. On Tuesday, August 17th, the Environmental Commission meets beginning at 5:30 p.m. And the next Port Authority and Council meeting is also Tuesday, August 17th, with the Port Authority beginning at 6 p.m. and the Council meeting at 7 p.m. And Night to Unite, I think those events start at 6 o'clock.
That sounds right, yeah. We leave here at 5:30, I think, so.
5:30, we leave, so it'll be about a between 5:30 and 9 o'clock. So we look forward to have a lot of good discussion and interaction tomorrow evening. It's always a fun night. Or if there are no further announcements, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting's adjourned. Thank you.